What if everything you've been told to chase, money, success, status, was not just meaningless, but actually the reason you are not free? Over 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers came to exactly that conclusion. And what they did next was extreme. In ancient Greece, every philosopher was trying to answer one question. How do you live a good life? Or, in their terms, achieve eudaimonia, that is to say, true, lasting happiness. Most schools agreed on the basics: live virtuously, be rational, cultivate wisdom. But the Cynics, they took a different approach. The Cynics didn't reject happiness as the goal. They rejected how everyone else tried to achieve it. The Cynics believed happiness didn't come from success, reputation, or even traditional virtue alone. Instead, they built their philosophy around something far more radical. Self-sufficiency, freedom, detachment, and endurance. And all of it pointed to one idea: independence from everything external. Because, think about it, if your happiness depends on money, then money controls you. If it depends on reputation, then other people control you. If it depends on comfort, then circumstances control you. The Cynics wanted and valued none of that. There's a famous story. Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in the world, meets Diogenes of Sinope. Alexander offers Diogenes everything and anything at all. And Diogenes replies, "Get out of my light." That's it. No respect, no fear, no hesitation. And that moment captures something essential in Cynic philosophy. The Cynics believed in absolute freedom of speech, what the Greeks called parrhesia, frank, fearless truth. But here's the deeper point. This kind of philosophy is incredibly rare, because most people can't afford it. We filter ourselves out at work, around authority, even around friends. Why is this? Because we have something to lose. Reputation, opportunity, approval. Diogenes had none of that, and that's why he could speak so freely. This is the Cynic insight most people miss. Freedom of speech isn't about courage. It's about independence. In the ancient world, philosophers often depended on wealthy patrons or rulers. They needed protection, they needed food and support. So naturally they compromised. They softened their ideas, avoided offence, stayed useful. The Cynics, on the other hand, refused. Because they removed the root problem. They needed nothing. And when you need nothing from someone, you cannot be controlled by them. Diogenes took this idea to the extreme. He reduced his life to almost nothing. Everything he owned, a cloak, a small bag, a walking stick. He slept in public places, temples, streets, even inside a large ceramic barrel. He ate whatever he could find: lentils, wild plants, scraps. And here's the key. This wasn't survival. It was deliberate. There's also a story about Diogenes, that he once owned a bowl, until he saw a child drinking water with his hands. And in that moment, he realised even the bowl was unnecessary. So he threw it away. Think about that. Not because he couldn't keep it, but because he didn't want to depend on it. This is what the Cynics meant by self-sufficiency. Not just living simply, but becoming independent of circumstances. Because every possession creates a dependency to some extent. You have to protect it. You must maintain it. And you may worry about losing it. And the more you accumulate, the more fragile your happiness becomes. The Cynics reversed this completely. Instead of increasing comfort, they reduced their needs until happiness no longer depended on anything external. But this kind of independence doesn't happen by accident. So the Cynics would train for it. Diogenes of Sinope walked long distances between Athens and Corinth. He lived on minimal food, and he did something most people avoided at all costs. He made his life harder on purpose. In winter, he embraced freezing statues. In summer, he rolled in burning sand. He went barefoot all year. Why? Because the more you avoid discomfort, the more power it has over you. So they flipped it. They trained discomfort until it lost all its power. More than anything, the Cynics valued endurance. They looked to figures like Odysseus and Hercules, not for strength, but for perseverance. Because life will take things from you: comfort, stability, security. The Cynics didn't try to avoid that reality. They prepared for it. They trained for it. They believed if you can endure hunger, cold, hardship, then those things stop being threats. And once they stop being threats, they stop controlling your life. The Cynics also went a little further. They rejected something deeper than discomfort: shame. They lived in public, ate in public, slept in public, did things society considered embarrassing in public. Not for attention, though, but to prove something radical. Social values and rules only control you. If you care about them, of course. Think about how much of your behaviour is shaped by judgment and your fear of it. What people will think, how you'll be perceived. The Cynics broke that completely, and in doing so, they removed one of the strongest forms of control. The Cynics also recognised something very early on. They believed society itself was deeply misguided, obsessed with wealth, status, appearance, chasing things that looked valuable but were not. They saw a world that had gained everything but lost something essential. And this is where their philosophy feels surprisingly modern. Because that same obsession still exists. More wealth, more visibility, more validation. But the question they force us to ask is, at what cost? The Cynics weren't just critics. They believed there was another way. A simpler life, a freer life, a life where happiness didn't depend on anything external. So here's the question they leave us with. If everything you relied on disappeared, would you still be okay? Because the Cynics believed something most people don't want to hear. The less you need, the more free you become.